Hello and welcome back to Matt Hayes' Tottenham Blog and to another Tottenham Hotspur transfer roundup as the Cristian Romero deal rages on with new interest in a potential striker signing for Tottenham in Fiorentina's Dusan Vlahovic. Today I'm going to be giving you the latest on both of those deals, plus looking at a few potential departures at Tottenham with Japhet Tanganga and Joe Hart, subject of bids in the recent couple of days. We'll also touch on Oliver Skipp and a few other players in there as well, including Lucas Moura. Before we do get into that, if you are new to the channel, do, as always, hit that like button, subscribe if you are new, and if you want to become a member, that join button down below will tell you everything you need to know. But look, let's dive into it because there are so many updates today, especially on Cristian Romero and this new interest in Dusan Vlahovic. I'm going to tell you a little bit about the player there as well. But before we even hear Wayne Bonner coming in with a couple of super chats already, with the £2 says, how you doing, Matt? Hope you're well. I'm doing absolutely fantastic, Wayne. I've had a few days off of this for a few different reasons, but we're back now and ready to get going into what will hopefully be a very busy couple of weeks for Spurs. But thanks for tuning in, Wayne. I hope you're well as well. And Wayne also says another £2. What's the crack with Romero? Yay or nay? And look, if you'd asked me that question 2 days ago, I wouldn't have been particularly optimistic on this one happening. But if you ask me now, I do think this is one that Tottenham will fight to get over the line. And as Danny Kiriakou there in the live chat, he probably won't agree with me on that one. I don't think he expects Romero to be joining Tottenham. But Danny, thanks so much for tuning in. Fen from Everything Football as well, a couple of channel members. Thank you so much for tuning in. And before we get to all these updates on Romero, KRB says, Matt, you're a legend. Thank you so much for that. Mark, Timothy, Brian Hill, Robert, Carol, so good to see you all in the live chat. Thank you all so much for tuning in. Last Galaxy as well. Look, let's get into it. Fabrizio Romano has spoken quite a bit in the last couple of days on Cristian Romero, and he continues to get asked quite a few questions about it. We'll look at a funny reply he gave to a Spurs fan on Twitter earlier today. But the latest from Fabrizio Romano is that Tottenham and Atalanta are still in direct contact to reach an agreement for Cristian Romero. Spurs are the only side in the race to sign the defender and are pushing again to get the deal done. And it's important there that he notes that we are the only side within this in this race at the moment, because quite a few reports have been suggesting that Barcelona are now joining in on the race to try and tempt the Argentinian centre-back away from Atalanta. And that is mainly being fueled by Lionel Messi, who, after playing with Romero during the Copa America, wants him to be part of this new-look Barcelona side that they are trying to build. However, the financial issues at Barcelona at the moment do make that deal a lot more difficult than it could have been. However, it doesn't make it completely impossible. And I was speaking to a few of my fellow YouTubers, Brian Daigle, another one there in the live chat with the Matty Hayes chant. Brian, so good to see you. Steve as well, one break at a time. Thanks for tuning in. Aaron Fernandez as well. And look, we all know the situation that Barcelona are in. They're trying to terminate the contracts of certain players, including Miralem Pjanic, who was a potential signing for Spurs earlier in the window, because they need to get money off their wage bill. Even Lionel Messi has taken a 50% wage cut to re-sign for Barcelona, and he hasn't yet been able to re-sign because of the financial predicament they currently find themselves in. How I would see a deal going ahead here is either an initial loan, which a few reports have said Barcelona have offered a loan deal to Atalanta with either an option or obligation to buy at the end of that. Atalanta aren't interested. Another way that they could do that is by offering players in return. It's not the most viable option, but I do think it's the only way that Barcelona would really be able to get a deal done here. And of course, the concerns lie with Atalanta, and their wage structure would have to be smashed if they're bringing in players from Barcelona. There's been a lot of leaks over the last couple of weeks about the amount that Barcelona actually pay players, including Antoine Griezmann, who's on €880,000 a week. So I think the wages there could be difficult for Atalanta to match if there are going to be players within that deal. However, Fabrizio Romano is saying it's simply not true. Barcelona have not yet made an official bid for the player, although there is an interest there, again being fueled by Lionel Messi. They have not yet made a bid, and it doesn't look as though they will be able to get that one over the line. But that is what Romano has said. Wayne with the £2 says, throw Dyer in with the deal. And do you know what? That could actually be tempting for Atalanta. So many players within the Premier League, especially defenders, can go to the Serie A or La Liga and actually manage to be a lot better there than what they have been in the past. Look at Chris Smalling, of course, doing incredibly well at Roma at the moment. But look, Romero is definitely a possibility. Whether Dyer will be in there, I'm not entirely sure. Romano was speaking yesterday on this, and it was pretty much the same thing. He said Tottenham are still the only club leading the race for Cristian Romero. Talks ongoing with Atalanta to reach an agreement, work in progress tonight and today, which was last night, and yesterday as well. Personal terms agreed, as he said a few weeks back, or maybe a week or two back, that the personal terms here have been agreed between Tottenham and the player. And he says again, Barcelona have not made any official or verbal bid as they have different priorities. I know we've all seen the questions every time Fabrizio Romano posts. The replies under it is Romero news. Can we get a hero going, Romero? And I've posted that a few times myself as well. And there's a certain comment on Twitter that Romano actually replied to, and he said, "How many times do I need to say work in progress, only Tottenham and no Barca," with a laughing emoji after that. And just reiterating, Spurs are working to sign Romero, talks are ongoing, and Spurs are pushing. So this is one that Tottenham seem really determined to get over the line despite the clear financial issues that we are having here. It looks as though Tottenham are currently offering about 40 to 45 million euro, whereas Atalanta want up as far as 55 million euro. There were reports in the middle of the week that they'd actually upped that price to about 60 million. That doesn't seem to be true, and it looks as though they're sticking with their initial valuation of the player at £55 million. Spurs just not willing to meet that at the moment, but a lot could change in the coming days, and I certainly hope it does. Bobspur TV, so good to see you in the live chat. Hey buddy, you know where I am regarding this Romero goings on at the moment. It looks highly likely we're going to have Dyer and Sanchez versus Man City. Aren't we starting the season on the back foot? We definitely are. Whether we get that deal over the line in the next week or not at all, we're on the back foot because Romero isn't going to have a lot of time to get to know his team and get ready to start that season with Tottenham. And I'm seeing a few things there in the live chat about a potential deal for Takehiro Tomiyasu, and it's Calcio Mercato. Not the most reliable source out there, but just bringing this one quickly. We'll touch a bit more on Tomiyasu in the next couple of minutes. But Calcio Mercato in the last couple of moments are reporting Tottenham have an agreement in principle to sign Takehiro Tomiyasu. Spurs offered €20 million excluding bonuses. The club intend on completing the transfer after the Olympics. So this is one that has been raging on for much longer than the Cristian Romero deal. And the main issues there were agreeing a deal with Bologna. But as a few people there saying in the live chat, Calcio Mercato just reporting now that Tottenham have agreed a deal in principle with Tomiyasu. We'll certainly be keeping an eye on the more reliable sources in the next couple of minutes and next couple of hours to see if that news is reiterated out there. But yeah, on Romero, it's one that we're working hard to get done, and that €10 million should not really be that much when you see how important it is for us to get in a centre back. As Bobby says, if it's going to be Dyer and Sanchez starting the new season, that's a massive concern right from minute one. Eric, good to see you in the live chat, and we need to get this done. As Paratici has been quoted as saying, he will overpay for targets that he wants to get in because it's not worth missing out on these targets for a couple of £1 million. And I tweeted the other day, and I fully stand by it, that this is where we are going to see who is actually in control at this club, who is actually in control of the transfers now. As much as Daniel Levy can say he's given the power of this stuff to Fabio Paratici, we'll see with this deal who is in charge. Is it Paratici, who's been quoted as saying that he will overpay for the targets, or is it Daniel Levy, who in the last 2 years has missed out on Milan Skriniar, Paulo Dybala, Bruno Fernandes, among others, for the sake of a bit of penny pinching and for the sake of a few £1 million? This deal will tell us a lot about the structure within this club at the moment, and whether we can actually build from here. Martin says, "Hey Matt, great article in the Leader today. Fair play." Martin, thank you so much. I do appreciate that. Brad Matthews with the £5. Brad, another absolute hero and a fantastic supporter of this channel, says, "Sorry, but if this Romero deal doesn't happen, that's it. We're never going to be the club we all want to be." And look, I agree with you on that. Like I said there about the kind of structure and the power within the club, it's also a real watershed moment that if things are going to work out under Fabio Paratici, if things will actually go where we want them to go, we need to start off on the right foot. And this transfer window, as much as you would hope it's not going to be the case, this is one where Paratici will really be remembered, and this is where everyone will make their first get their first impressions of him, if that hasn't already been made by the woeful job he did of finally getting manager in for us. We're happy enough with the eventual candidate we ended up at, but with the mess with Paulo Fonseca and Gennaro Gattuso, if he has a chance to recover that, it's this transfer window where he needs to do that. And I fully agree with you, Brad. We're not going to be the club we want to be if it doesn't work out now, because it's just such an important moment for the club. We look now at a few other reports with regards to Cristian Romero, and the tone really changed midweek and it's switching back again. So it was positive over the weekend and going into the start of this week, then it turned and looked as though Tottenham weren't going to get it done. It's going back towards the positive side now, and it is worth reiterating that the likes of Alistair Gold and Fabrizio Romano have always remained confident that the clubs would find a deal, and they said sources within the clubs are confident that they can get this one over the line. Gianluca Di Marzio said that a meeting with Tottenham and Atalanta is expected this week to try and close the deal for defender Cristian Romero. Sky Sports in Italy as well said that Cristian Romero remains close to a move to Spurs. We're due to meet with Atalanta in the coming days to try and close a deal for the defender. So this week that was supposed to be this incredibly busy week for Tottenham, we've ended up with 1 incoming and 3 outgoings, if you're including Pierluigi Galini as a signing on Saturday and last week. This is one that perhaps we have been focusing on and hoping to get over the line. Maybe there was a bit of a blip midweek. Maybe Atalanta considered upping their price for the player, but they are back down at about 55 million right now. So hopefully this is one that can get done. Gianluigi Langari, who has really been on the ball the whole way through this week, the whole way through this thing with Cristian Romero, has said that Tottenham are ready to increase their offer to around 50 million plus 5 million in bonuses for Cristian Romero. Spurs are very confident of finding an agreement with Atalanta. So if that is to be believed, again, Langari, a source who has been quite good in this one, Tottenham could very well be about to agree a deal with Atalanta. The Athletic say that sources close to the Cristian Romero deal remain confident that an agreement on price can be reached, but negotiations are still ongoing. Matteo Moretto, another Italian source, said that Tottenham are ready to start pushing to complete the signing of Cristian Romero. And he also had he was asked about it on Twitter about this for Tomiyasu. Is that just Calcio Mercato who are saying that? Or is are there more sources saying that right now? I'm just checking Twitter here to see if there's anything. All I can see is Calcio Mercato, but we will keep a very close eye on that one. And there's also an interesting story from Calcio Mercato about a potential midfield signing for Spurs, which we'll touch on a little bit later. Simon Cohen, good to see you in the live chat. Thanks so much for your kind words. With regards to Atalanta's potential replacement for Romero, because it's always a good way to kind of gauge where the club are at in terms of potentially selling a player. DiMarzio have said that Atalanta are going for Lazio central defender Luis Felipe. Should Romero to Spurs materialise, the club will also go for Mary Demiral. Fabrizio Romano also said that Atalanta are set to sign Verona centre-back Matteo Lovato. And I'm pretty sure I mentioned there in the chat there from Toby that they've signed Theata from Ostenda as well, which I think he's a centre-back, so that's another one there for them to potentially have replaced Cristian Romero. But the player we'll touch on now is Dusan Vlahovic. He's a striker for Fiorentina that has been probably the name that I've seen most within rumours for this transfer window. One of the most sought after players in Europe at the moment, aside from, of course, whatever names Spurs are looking at. And Fabrizio Romano said on Twitch yesterday or the day before that Tottenham are really interested in the striker as on the back of an incredible season for him. We'll also touch on a few moments in pre-season from him as well. But Tottenham are really interested in striker Dusan Vlahovic, but Fiorentina have offered him a new contract. The striker will make a decision soon. Alistair Gold also mentioned this interest. He said Tottenham's interest in Vlahovic is genuine, but it will be a potential deal they look at more closely later in the window once they get some money in through sales. So it does look as though the priorities at the moment aren't at the top end of the pitch. It will still be defenders, maybe some midfielders that we're looking at as well. But according to Gold, Vlahovic will be something we address later on in the window. And Vlahovic, like I said, everyone seems to want him. Everyone seems to want him. Had a fantastic season at Fiorentina last year. I've seen some reports that Fiorentina are valuing him up as high as 17 million euro, which, if you look at his numbers, maybe it is something that could be slightly warranted. He scored 21 goals in 37 appearances in the Serie A last season for Fiorentina, who aren't the best team out there. So to get those numbers in a worser team is a lot more admirable, of course. In pre-season this year, I think it was last week or the week before, he scored 7 goals in a single half of football. Now, it was against much lower level opposition, but to score 7 goals in a single half of football is absolutely crazy. And again, there's a reason he's so highly sought after. He's 6'2", really, really good in the air, an absolutely clinical finisher. Again, 21 goals and 37 appearances last season. I think he also grabbed 2 assists. So this is one that we will keep an eye on. I don't think we'll see much develop in this in the next week or two, unless he goes elsewhere or signs a contract with Fiorentina. But in terms of Vlahovic to Spurs, it's not something that will be about to happen imminently. Again, Goal saying we'll look at it a bit more later on in the window. Bobby says 365 watching and 72 likes. That's worse than a Levy shortfall. It is indeed. We've got over 400 people in here right now. Please do hit that like button if you are enjoying the stream. Danny says, did you hear Ali Gold said Spurs might loan Skippy again? Are they mad? I was really taken aback by that one. We'll touch a bit more on departures later on in the stream. But Danny, I can't believe it, to be honest. I'll be quite concerned about what we're going to do in the middle of the park if Skip isn't going to be there. We just heard, of course, from Calcio Mercato that Tottenham have agreed a deal in principle with Takahiro Tomiyasu worth 20 million euro, excluding bonuses. Alistair Gold has been talking on this in the last day or so, and he said that people involved on Takahiro Tomiyasu's side of this deal are confident a move to Tottenham can be completed after the 2020 Olympics in Tokyo, where Tomiyasu is currently representing the host nation Japan. So this one, understandably, I suppose, has gone really quiet in the last week or two, with Tomiyasu focusing on his other stuff there. There was, of course, news of an injury for him. That's not severe at all. But Alistair Gold saying there is confidence that this one will be completed after the window. A few updates on Harry Kane, and they're actually good news for Tottenham. Usually when I mention Harry Kane, the numbers in the stream drop because people don't want to hear it. But Fabrizio Romano has said Daniel Levy and Fabio Paratici hope to change Harry Kane's mind on his future. Man City are waiting to see what happens on the players' side. It's between Kane and Spurs now. And the best news, I suppose, coming out about this for Spurs is that Manchester City now are pushing to sign Jack Grealish from Aston Villa. Telegraph Sports say that Man City have been left frustrated in their attempts to sign Kane and have now submitted a £100 million bid for Jack Grealish. And it seems to be every source out there that is saying City are now making a bid for Grealish and they're trying to get that one done for £100 million. I really struggle to see where they would get the money to sign Grealish and Harry Kane, which is, of course, incredible news for Tottenham because it makes it more likely that our main talisman will remain at the club next season. It's not to say it's absolutely set in stone that he will be staying, but it is it's a good omen for us that City could really be trying to get that Grealish deal done with their current FFP predicament with this whole investigation with the Premier League and all that stuff. I really don't think City would, even if they had the money, if they would risk it with the troubles they are in at the moment. But that is pretty much it on Harry Kane. I think it will go quiet for a little bit now as City get that deal for Grealish done, and maybe towards the end of the window we'll get more ridiculous reports from Sky Sports every 3.5 minutes saying that Kane wants out and City want to buy him. Alistair Gold has been speaking about a few different players, about a few potential departures. He said, I think Sergio Aurier will be gone before the transfer window closes. He wanted to leave for a few summers, and this is one we've been hearing right from the start of the window, especially from Gold really. He was saying that Aurier and Sissoko are both potentially on their way out of Tottenham this summer. But he expects Sergio Aurier to leave. Again, probably goes hand in hand with the Takehiro Tomiyasu deal. I do think he'll be played as a right back, as I'm more and more kind of leaning towards the fact that we'll be playing a fourth back, and there's some news on Matt Doherty that would actually corroborate that feeling. But on top of Sergio Aurier, The Athletic have also reported on that, but added that Tottenham have told Aurier, Sanchez and Sissoko that they will want to sell him this summer. And I think we pretty much knew that again, but it's good to see these reports still coming through and kind of confirming that that's the position the club are still in, because if we're in the same position in terms of outgoings, it would suggest we're in the very same position in terms of potential incomings and who we think we can bring to the club this summer. Alistair Gold also said regards to Toby Alderweireld's departure to Al Duhail, which was of course confirmed a couple of days ago. We initially believed it was about £13 million, which was an incredible deal, but Jonathan Veal first said this, and now it's been confirmed by Gold that the eventual price for Alderweireld was about £4.2 million, which is a mere fraction of what we expected it to be. It doesn't look as good a deal anymore, and if we don't get Romero, it's an absolute calamity to sell your best centre-back for such a low price and then not get in the initial replacement that we wanted to get. But £4.2 million is still a bit of money, and he says the main motivation for the club to sell was to get his wages off the book, which makes sense when you think about it. I don't know exactly how much he was on, but I do know he's going to be on a lot more in Qatar with Al Duhail. An official departure that we got in the last couple of days since I last streamed is of course Troy Parrott. He's joined MK Dons on loan for the rest of the season. That was confirmed on Thursday morning. I think he got all his pictures done after our friendly at Stadium MK on Wednesday, but that was confirmed yesterday that Troy Parrott will be joining MK Dons on loan for the coming season. Japhet Tanganga, another player who could be on the way out. Charlie Eccleshare said that Galatasaray have made an offer to sign Japhet Tanganga on a season-long loan deal with no option or no obligation to buy. Now, Tanganga wants to stay at Tottenham and establish himself as a starter under Nuno, despite the interest from Galatasaray. He kind of said that no offer has been made, a bit contradicting himself, but he also said what Danny said there about Oliver Skipp, and now that I think of it, I didn't see it from Gold, but I did see it from Eccleshare, that Oliver Skipp and Japhet Tanganga could both head out on loan depending on who Tottenham are able to sign this window, and that kind of tells us that perhaps we are really in the market for a central midfielder. Højbjerg and Dominated Celso probably not enough to carry us through the season if Winks is going to be leaving as well. So maybe we are in the market for a central midfielder. The names that have been mentioned mainly are Houssem Aouar and Renato Sanchez, but want to keep an eye on there. If we are willing to loan Skip out, depending on who comes in, there could be a central midfielder signing. Alistair Gold saying after this bid from Galatasaray, the Tottenham would prefer to loan Japhet Tanganga to a British club, despite that offer coming in from Turkey. So I think we will see Tanganga go out if this is starting to gather some heat, but who it's going to be at the moment we're just not quite sure. Joe Hart is a player who could be on the way out for Fabrizio Romano, among many saying that Celtic are in talks to sign Joe Hart, and these have been progressing in the last couple of days. Alistair Gold giving a bit more context to all of this one. He said that Joe Hart has made it clear that he's not being distracted by the talk about his Tottenham future as Celtic attempt to sign the goalkeeper, and that was in the way of a post on his Instagram story, a picture of himself in training, and said something like "always focused, no matter what." So despite these rumours, Hart is staying focused, but I think he will be on his way. Gold also says that it is understood that new Tottenham boss Nuno Espirito Santo has told Joe Hart that he's not part of his plans for the upcoming season. So with Galini coming in and Whiteman now getting some time in our preseason games, perhaps it is time for Joe Hart to leave. I think it was the Daily Record has been saying that Tottenham are demanding as much as £1 million in this transfer. But any money we get for Joe Hart, I think, will be a good deal for us at the moment. Some other reports that have come in from not particularly reliable sources. Calcio Mercato have said that, and this is the midfield one that I teased at the beginning of the stream, but Calcio Mercato have said, on the back of the talk from the Sassuolo CEO, he said that Juventus at the moment are leading the race to sign Locatelli. Arsenal made a bid initially, but a new English club has now joined. Some reports have said that's Liverpool. Calcio Mercato are saying that's Tottenham. Whether that's true or not, I don't think it's going to happen because Locatelli just simply has offers from better clubs. I do think he will end up at Juventus, but Tottenham potentially, maybe being an extra team within that hunt for the player. Marca have said that Tottenham's plan B is to sign Kurt Zouma should a deal not be agreed for Cristian Romero. The central defender will be available for €25 million. I'm actually not sure. Not sure if I said this on Monday because I can't remember when the report came out, but Fabrizio Romano was saying that should Tottenham not get Cristian Romero, or plan B is to sign Kurt Zouma for 25, Tomiyasu for 20, and then Nikola Milenkovic as well for €15 million. Also some reports that we could end up bringing in Romero and Milenkovic. The centre-back of Fiorentina is coming into the last year of his contract there at €50 million is enough to get him done. And should that be a deal that Tottenham pursue, it will be an easy one to complete because the player wants Premier League. The player will be happy to join Tottenham. And there's not much negotiating to be had. Pay 15 and you get him, and he's certainly a player that that is worth it. Charlie Eccleshare as well saying that Tottenham deem Lucas Moura sellable if the club receive a big money offer for him. If the right offer came in for Doherty, the expectation is that Nuno would sanction a sale there, and that one took me by surprise. But that's one of the reasons that I think maybe Nuno was planning on playing a 4 at the back, because if you're playing a 5 at the back, a similar system to what he played at Wolves, you want Doherty to be in there because he was one of the main parts of that team. But if Doherty's on the way out, maybe it will be a 4 at the back for Spurs next season. Hey with the $5 super chat, thank you so much. I really do appreciate that. Says with Kane and Højbjerg, Lo Celso returning late, is Nuno preparing to use a front three of Bergwijn, Son, and Lucas? And do you see Kane staying in 2021-22? I, at the moment, am 100% sure Harry Kane will be wearing a Tottenham jersey after the 1st of September this year. I really can't see him on the way out, as much as I couldn't in the last couple of days, because City aren't going to pay the money that we want. They're now pursuing Jack Grealish, and they simply can't get those two signings. But using that front three against Manchester City is certainly a possibility. I'm not too sure how much I believe that Harry Kane is going to miss that first game of the season. I think that is just tabloids taking their opportunity to get an extra story out of one of the biggest stories of the summer is Man City maintain their interest in the player. I haven't seen it from too many reliable sources, so I wouldn't be surprised if Kane is playing in that first game of the season. And I think if there was, for however late he comes back, if there was a reason that he missed the first game, I think he'd come back to training a week early to get into that team, because that's just the type of player that he is. But that front three wouldn't be the worst in the world. Erik Ten Hag has actually spoken in the last hour as well about Steven Bergwijn. He refused to say whether that's going to be something that Ajax will do, but he said if you're looking at the profile of player that Ajax want to sign this summer, the profile is almost an identical match to Steven Bergwijn. So something could be on the cards there. Just another story to keep an eye on as Tottenham continue to have what is at the moment a boring transfer window, but one that could really take off any moment. It was supposed to be this week from what we've been told, but not too much happening. 1 incoming and 3 outgoings. Hopefully that will pick up pace in the next couple of days. I'm going to jump over to Twitter to take your questions. Of course, for any show that I'm doing, if you just tweet out a question to hashtag #AskMattHayes and tagging me as well at MattHayesTHFC, I'll get to as many of those as I can at the end of the show. Zeus says, if given a budget of around 30 million, who would you ideally want to bring in to partner Romero if it gets over the line? The ideal one for 30 million, I'd probably take half that budget and just get Milenkovic. I think those are two defenders that would would really suit each other, to be honest. And as much as then we'd have an extra 15 million to spend, I think Milenkovic is a very good option for Spurs. And if we get the two of them, I think we'll be a lot more safe and secure at the back next season. But whether that's going to happen or not is, of course, a very different question. As though we asked a similar question, best centre-back partner for Romero, I would say Nikola Milenkovic. But Zeus mentioned Sven Botman, who I would definitely take at Spurs. But there have been a few stories that if we get Romero from Atalanta, they'll then move for Sven Botman. So he's on their radar as well. Jack says, after sorting out centre-back, where do you think we should prioritise next, providing we keep Kane? I think the way we're doing it simply looks like we're just moving up the pitch to try and get these done. I think central midfield would be a good place to go there. And as we're hearing with these stories tonight, we probably are going to be in the market for a central midfielder, whether it's Aouar, Sanchez, Locatelli, whatever. I trust Paratici to get the right target, but I think central midfield will be a good place to go from then. Kaylee Spur says, regarding reports today, why on earth would we sell Lucas? Looks so bright in pre-season and always gives 100%. More end product than Bergwijn any day of the week. Also need to keep Skip and Japhet. I wouldn't be too pressed with keeping Tanganga, to be honest. I don't think he's in and around that first team just yet. And a loan move to the Championship or to a lower Premier League team could do him the world of good. I don't really see the point in selling Lucas. He was one of our best players, most exciting players in the last 6 months of last season. Maybe it is because Nuno or Paratici just have different plans for the number 10 role, which is where Lucas has been at his best for Tottenham. In terms of playing him out in the right wing, he hasn't done it enough, and it just doesn't seem to be the position for him in the Premier League. So if we do have plans for number 10, it could be Brian Hill. It could be another player that we just haven't mentioned yet. But that's the main reason why I think Lucas may be for sale. THFC Jamie says, would you take selling Kane for £160 million if it meant we got Romero, Vlahovic, Tomiyasu, another centre-back and a central midfielder? Jamie, you've caught me on the spot here. I don't think I would. I really don't think I would, because there's nothing to say that any of those players you've mentioned there will come in and do well for Spurs. It's unlikely, but it's possible that all of those flop, and I think we let Harry Kane go and we're in a terrible situation as a club, and that is the sad truth of it. We are so extremely reliant on his presence in that front line. Everyone let me know in the live chat with a yes or a no. Would you take selling Kane for £160 million if it meant we got Romero, Vlahovic, Tomiyasu, another centre-back and a central midfielder? Let me know in the live chat yes or no if you would take that. Killian, good to see you in the live chat, says, what do you think about me getting my first COVID jab? Killian, I'm delighted for you that you managed to get the first jab. I hope you're feeling well. Good to hear you're half of the way there to getting vaccinated. Bradley says, are you confident on a deal for Romero? At the moment I am. I think this is one that Spurs simply can't afford to mess up. And I think Paratici will get over the line. He'll have to get it over the line. Faisal on Twitter says, if somehow Højbjerg was our new captain and we got another striker, for example Vlahovic, could it be the right way in terms of rebuild and significantly loosen the huge pressure on Harry Kane? I think Kane is a pressure player, aside from the cup finals when he goes missing a lot of the time. I think he's one that just thrives in being the player that we rely on so much. And if we were going to change captain from Lloris, I'd give it to Kane. It might only be for a season if he does go next year, but I think if we were changing it from Lloris, it would probably be for Harry Kane. It looks like a nice bit of a mix here in terms of that one. Initially, it was a load of no's, but a few yeses coming in now. A few Spurs fans would take that deal for Kane to go and get all those players in. Vlahovic is the striker within that one. Stuart, by the way. Christopher says no, as if we sell other assets, we could get that lot and keep him, and that's what we're trying to do. Really, sell as much players for small fees as possible that it could build up to a high amount that we could then reinvest. Bobby says only the signing of Romero will show a different intent by the board this season. Anything and anyone else will feel like as you are praying it's not, mate. Bobby, I agree on that one. Don't often agree with you, Bobby, when it comes to transfers, I'll be honest. But I agree with you on that one. Terry says I would sell Kane for 125 million and Laporte. I suppose wouldn't be too opposed to that one, if I'm honest with you, Terry. Rose says PEH for captain as well. Oscar says thoughts on the new Leeds Spurs kit. I actually like it. I like that third kit, the purple one. I also like the away kit, which it's not often I like all three kits, especially when they're as out there as the ones that we have this year. But I'm a fan of them, to be honest. Danny says no, Kane is God. Trevor says Matt, definitely not. I will be keeping him. And Adam says 160 million or more for Harry Kane. And look, we want to keep Kane. I don't think anyone can blame us for that. Hey with another $5 super chat. Thank you so much for that one. Says Matt, have you been watching the Olympic football with Tommy and Hill joining us? If so, how are they? I saw Tommy a little bit and I'm not convinced. Honestly, I haven't been watching. I haven't seen a single second of the Olympics, but from what I've seen on Twitter and what I've heard from the good people in the Spurs YouTube community, Hill has been extremely impressive, and he's not starting for Spain, but he's coming off the bench and has been a fantastic impact player for them, and that's what I can probably see him being for Spurs this season if he is in and around that first team. But he's doing well. I haven't heard anything on Tomiyasu, to be honest with you, but it's concerning if you're saying that you're not convinced. But look, Romero is the next one for Spurs. It's the one that we're working hard to get over the line. It's the one that we're hoping gets over the line for potentially up to 55 million euro. It'll be a huge deal for us if we get it done. One that I really think changes the trajectory of this club, not only in terms of players that we have in the team, players that are on the pitch, but also in terms of intent and where we plan on going under Fabio Paratici, just how much he's going to be backed financially, and in terms of the players he identifies as well. So that's the one that we need to keep an eye on over the next couple of days as Spurs try and get this one done. It's believed they are in talks again today to try and find that agreement for Cristian Romero. If there is anything new tonight, I'll be on here straight away to update you on the situation, because it's such an important one again for Tottenham, as I said. But look, we will wrap it up there. Romero, potentially close to being done. Dusan Vlahovic, interest, but maybe it will be later in the window. Fen says, do you think with Spurs spending this money, there will be a big outgoing? Oof, well, when you put it like that, Fen, it's a bit concerning. I just can't see Kane going. I really can't. City don't have the money to pay it, especially if they're signing Grealish. And even if they did, they're just not willing to pay that much money on a player. A big outgoing, I suppose, doesn't necessarily have to be Harry Kane, but it's the most likely one. I mean, you could get a lot of money for an Ndombele, for Lo Celso, maybe a few others there as well, but I don't think so. I think this money is being invested in the club for a lot of small sales that kind of just eventually add up and build up. And we will see a few player swaps as well, I'm sure. Hill and Lamela probably won't be the only one. But look, we will wrap it up there. Thank you everyone for tuning in. Take a quick look at the numbers here. We've had over 2,300 people joining us over the last half an hour. I can't see how many likes are on it, but I see it starts with a 1. So let's get that to a 2. 550 people still watching. Let's get to 200 likes as quickly as we possibly can. Terry, my absolute pleasure bringing you the update today. And I've seen a lot of kind comments throughout the stream as well. I do really appreciate every single one of those. If you are liking the content and you want to help me out with something, if you want to go to the link at the top of the description, you can vote for me as Best Young Content Creator for 2021 in the Football Creator Awards. I would massively appreciate that. I was lucky enough to have an article written about it in my local paper today, which was a real honour. If you do want to support me in that, the link is at the top of the description. I would really appreciate it. Adam, Trevor, thank you so much. Do make sure to subscribe to the channel if you are new. We've recently hit 10k, so we've no goal at the moment, but let's get it as high as we can before Tottenham start their season on the 15th of August against Manchester City. I'd really appreciate any subscribes and any support you can give on the channk. Thanks so much for everyone for tuning in, and as always, thanks for watching.